is obviously highly significant because it's the last of our 3 nights, and it's the last time we're going to do this year, and it's the last sort of UEA type sort of expression within this forum for the time being. So actually, it's quite a sort of weighty occasion. So thank you for joining us for this weighty occasion. Just in case you don't know who I am, I'm Steve Waters, as it says on the screen, and I oversee the MA in script writing at UEA. And obviously, all the work you'll see tonight is by our wonderful students, and will be performed by our wonderful students, many of whom are no longer with us, but are with us in this forum and in spirit. And it's been nothing short of miraculous. In fact, Mike will say a little bit about this in a minute, that we've, from about 6 weeks ago, we were staring into the black hole where we'd normally be conceiving of moving our event into the Garage Theatre in Norwich, and that obviously wasn't available to us. You know, how could we proceed? And obviously there are these marvelous new technologies, and this is one of them, Zoom. And you know, Mike and his alumnus company have, in an act of sheer willpower, conjured up from nothing really. Well, actually that's not entirely fair. From a very small group of very committed young actors, they've conjured up an extraordinary company of actors that's getting larger week on week. But they have met the interesting issue of our playwrights and screenwriters who are writing whatever is in their head about wherever they're from in the manner that they want to write, whether that happens to be Chennai in India, or Oman, Muscat in Oman, or somewhere in Romania, or somewhere in East Anglia. So the casting task has been formidable for this very hastily assembled and wonderful ensemble. So what I would like to first do is pay tribute to everybody involved, and perhaps particularly our directors, our young directors. Freya Bennett is the director of tonight, who's going to pretty much direct everything we see, although one piece by Sarah Stevenson is directed by Molly Farley, who directed the first evening of events. And of course, Imogen Lee last week directed, and they, with Mike's assistance, have created this ever enlarged company. But we will say that we can't always get everybody who's exactly right for every role. And occasionally that does create a slight dissonance of, hang on a second, that person is an actor of colour, should be an actor of colour, but isn't, or should be from Chennai, but isn't, or should be from Muscat. And so, you know, we just want to acknowledge that right at the beginning, that there's definitely very interesting challenges of casting that rather wonderfully come out of the encounter between our MA's students, their worlds and their imagination, and our given community of actors. And I really just completely salute the achievement of those directors in conjuring these casts out of sheer willpower, actually, in many, many cases. So tonight we actually have 6 presentations. We've on 4, 5, 6, and that's not really the right way to do it, is it? We should have done 6, 5, 4, but you know, hey, you know, we just like to kind of challenge you each week with a slightly different sort of format. So I think what that might mean is, depending on the tempo of presentations, and this is something I'm going to leave in Freya's very capable hands, we might, after the third piece, take a sort of 5-minute break of some sort. So we'll check in with you about that, but I'm pretty sure we'll do that. And I would imagine that our third piece will come down about 10 to 8 or something like that. So we might then reconvene 7:55. But let's just wait and see where we are at that point before we absolutely confirm those details, because I think 6 extracts non-stop is a bit brutal. Freya will tell you a little bit more in a minute about the running order and how we're going to proceed tonight. I'm going to introduce you to some of the writers in a second. Just to remind you that what we're watching are extracts, obviously, from developing projects that are very much work in progress. Myself, Ben Musgrave, Sean Evans and Molly Naylor are working week on week with these students to sort of allow these pieces to grow. And I'm sure the writers wouldn't mind me telling you that sometimes what you're seeing is all there is, or what you're seeing is something that they still don't know what the end is. So, you know, that is the spirit of tonight. It's a way, in some ways, of offering them an intervention in the development of their piece. So we've been so grateful for some of the comments and responses that we've had so far. Again, because there's so many of us, we're going to sort of tightly chair it, but like in previous weeks, look in the chat occasionally and do contribute there if you want to sort of make any observation or just register your presence. And we really value those thoughts, and we're all looking at the chat, so it's an incredibly good way of sharing commentary and thoughts. I think that's probably what I'm going to say for the time being. I think if I just hand over to Mike, then we'll hear a little bit from Freya, then I'm going to introduce you to the writers, and then we'll start the evening. Mike, what would you like to add to that?
Thanks, Steve. Actually, very little to add. You've said most of what I was going to say. Just to say, it has been a joy. We for those of you who haven't been to the first couple of sessions, the ensemble established itself in October 2019 as a group that we would meet weekly and train and workshop new material for our own enjoyment as much as anything else. And then 6 months in February, just after we had done our first readings of the very, very early versions of some of these scripts, lockdown became a huge test for us of what ensemble means, whether it could continue to mean anything meaningful as the weeks proceeded. But in fact, going online has meant that we found people who had migrated away from Norwich were able and willing and wanting to join in remotely, which was fantastic and enriching for us all. And then I think more than this, though, with the preparations for this event coinciding with the events of the last several weeks and the Black Lives Matter engagements that we've seen across the world, we were prompted, I think probably for the first time properly, to explore the boundaries of our diversity and extend our recruitment still further to better serve the writers' ambitions. Given the international range of writers at the UEA on Steve's course, we couldn't hope to accurately cast all the roles on offer here, but I don't think we'd ever really thought to try. It seemed such an insurmountable job. And it proves that when you are given the right kick, you can move into territory you hadn't really thought to occupy before. And it's been terrific and hugely encouraging to welcome old friends and new to the project. And there will be plenty for us all to learn from this experience too, in terms of improving the diversity and representation going forward. For tonight, I know that everybody, as in the last 2 weeks, has simply been working to do the best job they can. In the end, our job has always been to put the words in the air, as it were, off the page and into the air. And hopefully that will be very much to everybody's enjoyment tonight, and hopefully we'll serve the writers as best we're able to. Very pleased to have had Freya and Imi and Molly serving us so capably in putting these evenings on, and look forward to seeing the work. Freya, I think it's over to you and Steve again.
Yes, hello everyone. So I'm Freya. I've been the point person, as it were, for 5 out of the 6 scripts we will be seeing tonight. And it's been having, as someone who's been involved with this sort of this showcasing the MA writers' work for 2 years previous to this, the transition to have it all suddenly on Zoom and not in the garage as I was used to has been interesting, and it's been a challenge, undoubtedly, but it's been very fun to work on, and it's been a great exercise, I think, of sort of adaptation, like creative adaptation, I suppose. And yeah, it's been wonderful to work with these fantastic scripts, and not only to reconnect with people who have previously worked on with this in previous years, but also with people I know from sort of not just the UEA cohort, but also to work with new people outside of that cohort. That's been such a brilliant experience, and to meet such talented young actors. So yeah, I suppose that's all I've got to say on that for now.
All right, thank you, Freya. That's brilliant, and thanks so much for your work. So I was going to say a couple of thanks while we're all together. Then I'm going to ask the writers to step forward out of the darkness and to announce themselves and reveal a little bit about what we're going to see tonight. And then I'm going to shut up and we're going to get on with it. But firstly, you should still have access to the program, which was beautifully produced by Tim Lawrence Cave, and it's connected to the email that invited you to this event. So you'll have details about all the writers there for reference. Also to thank to Tim, also special thanks to Molly Farley and actually Rowan Gotebed, who's also here today, whose company Coast to Coast have been the hosts for this event. In a sense, this is their Zoom channel, which they've kindly provided. And I think it's worth saying that, of course, Zoom is brilliant, but we're only as good as everyone's Wi-Fi signal. So just, be very indulgent where occasionally that might lag in some way. So tonight's writers, one of whom can't join us sadly, Gabriel Roman, has sort of an urgent personal thing. He can't join us tonight. He's going to be looking at it on YouTube later on. But if I'd like to invite Sarah, Vasundara, James, Benjamin Jones, and Harriet just to sort of make themselves visible, that would be great. I don't know myself what order things are going to be tonight. I don't know if you guys know, but who thinks they're going first? Nobody knows. Okay, why don't we start with James McDonald? Just say hi and just tell us a little bit about your piece tonight.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. And thank you for everybody else, the actors, the organisers and guests. It's very much appreciated. I won't give a synopsis because that's in the programme. Just very briefly introduce this extract. It jumps between two time periods. We've got 1919, a Jolly Boys and Adventure story in the day building up to a tragedy in the Scout Hut. And we move on to 100 years in the future where our young family move into their suspiciously cheap dream home and find they might not be alone there. So I really hope you enjoy it.
And that just reminds us the title of that, James.
Pluck and Spirit. Possibly subtitled A Scouting Guide to the Afterlife.
Well, why not hear both titles? Thank you, James. Vasundhara, do you want to tell us a little bit about waste?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the script is really close to my heart. It's born out of the very first writing assignment that we were given this year. And yeah, of course, it's changed a lot since then. I think I got inspiration from this image of a landfill with never-ending mountains of waste, which is pretty much in the outskirts of every major city in India. And I thought, wow, this is a perfect location for a crime drama film. What I find inspiring and interesting about a landfill and the people that live and work in one is that they perform this really important function in society, but at the same time, they're on the outskirts, they're on the margins, neglected and almost cast aside. So I hope you enjoy it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vasundhara. Harriet, would you like to tell us a little bit about Classy?
I can indeed. Classy is about Bea. She's an Irish traveller, and it's basically it's a play that basically showcases her destructive behaviours and destructive relationships with other people that she only makes worse for herself. Yeah, and the draft you're going to see is a conversation with her and her best friend Tyler, who she kind of bullies lovingly, but still it's not pleasant. But yeah, that's all I have to say for it so far.
Thanks, Harriet. Ben, do you want to tell us a little bit about your piece?
Yes, of course. So my piece, contrary to the programme, is called Fright at Fresh Start Forest. It's an animated movie. It's kind of part B-movie sci-fi horror meets kind of a goofy movie style family bonding trip to a Centre Parks-esque park called Fresh Start Forest. In the later stages of the film, it will become more chaotic and horror movie-like, with a horde of people who have transformed into smiling monsters chasing our central characters. But for the extract you'll be hearing tonight, these first 10 pages, we'll just be slowly setting up the quote-unquote mystery. It's fairly obvious something's not right. And also establishing the film's central relationship between 12-year-old Joe and their mum, Michelle. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Sanantra.
Thank you, Ben. That's lovely. And finally, Sarah Stevenson, tell us a bit about Driftwood.
Yeah, sure. So Driftwood is a coming-of-age play about a 16-year-old called Mona who spends the summer at the off-grid commune where her estranged father lives. And I suppose the drama is about her enchantment with this group, especially kind of the enigmatic twins Ash and Luke, who you'll meet later, and their utopian lifestyle. But also the kind of realization that all is not as it seems, and that the heart of this community is a secret that, if it got out, would mean an end to their way of life. So yeah, you'll get a glimpse of it later.
Thank you so much. I will just quickly speak to Gabriel's piece, which is called The Return, and gives us an image of various young people in a small town in Romania who are contemplating departing in some way. But what's so interesting about the way Gabriel's handled it is that we see it through their, if you like, imagined lives as much as their actual lives. So I won't give too much more away about that. Right, I'm going to disappear, you guys are going to disappear, and I'm going to hand over to Freya, and we'll see each other later on. Good luck.
Hello, everyone. So before we get right into the first one, if I would say for maximum enjoyment of the evening, switch on to gallery view, which is in the top right hand corner. It means that you'll be able to sort of see everyone's little windows on Zoom. You'll be able to see everyone who's speaking. And obviously, if you're not involved in the performance tonight, turn off your audio, stop your video, And if you can, click on the 3 little dots in the top right-hand corner of your videos and click on hide non-video participants. So that means that only those who are involved in performances or reading out performances will be seen. And actually, without further ado, we are going to begin with Driftwood by Sarah Stevenson, which is not directed by myself, but directed by Molly Farley. And for that, I am stage directions. So we'll just get on with it. An off-grid commune in rural Sussex. Early evening. The front entrance of a cabin leads into a communal space. The tyres have been built with cargo containers, and a metal cauldron sits at the centre with 5 tyres around it. Motors and tools and discarded engines have been placed haphazardly around the site. They are half-finished projects, not junk. Mona, 16, sits behind a wooden bench with 2 knives on it. Ash, 17, walks in holding a dead rabbit by its ears. She drops it onto the wooden slab.
You okay?
Yeah, of course.
You look a bit...
Go on then.
Here.
Ash passes Mona a knife.
Got to skin it first?
She takes the knife herself.
Pinch this bit, base of the neck. Closer.
Ash guides her hand.
A small cut. Can you do that?
Mona hovers the knife over the rabbit's neck. She turns her head away, eyes closed. Steps back.
I think I should watch this part.
You still want me to teach you how to do this? I don't have to. Enough of us here.
I know.
Isn't nice. Guts and stuff.
I'm fine. So, how do you...
Traps.
Like, you leave a carrot and let it hop into the cage and snap. Door shuts in on it.
A bit. Apples work.
And, the killing?
Take its neck.
Oh, actually, if I think of it as having been alive once, I start to resent myself.
For?
Taking a life. You don't feel bad?
Would I?
I mean, his eyes.
Ash flips it over.
I had this pet rabbit once, Theodore, when I was 12. I kept him under my bed in a cardboard box because I knew my mum's boyfriend at the time was allergic and they broke up because he could never get to sleep.
We don't have pets here.
Ash passes Mona the knife.
Again?
Mona wavers.
I can't.
Ash takes the knife and continues to skin the rabbit in a few deft movements.
Couldn't sleep.
The mattress?
It's howling.
You get used to the sounds eventually.
Far away, like a cat, but it's not. This high-pitched screeching.
It might be Fox.
I think it's not.
Ash turns the rabbit over.
When did you learn this?
8, 9. Sean taught me.
Did he teach you many things?
Motors, how to fix those, boxing, woodwork, that kind of thing.
He's so careful with me. I hate it.
He's all right.
More your dad than mine.
Never really had one.
Us both.
Ash stops.
You can do this bit. Just peel it off.
I'm fine. Keep going.
Should just slip.
She passes Mona the knife. Mona takes it, tentatively. Ash stands back. Luke drifts in. He is holding a large plastic bottle filled with cider.
There you are.
He waves a wad of cash in front of Ash.
Here.
She ignores him. He hands it to Mona instead.
£10 extra for not asking.
To Mona.
Would you count it?
80.
Mona passes the money to Ash. Ash slips it in her coat, not looking up.
We've not met.
Mona drops the knife and turns to Luke. Ash takes over, head down.
I'm Mona.
To Ash.
Sean's been looking for you.
Ash ignores him.
I'm his daughter.
So, you do exist. We all sort of thought he was making it up. This kid he had who's Mother wouldn't let her stay with the woodland heathens. Our parents were together a while, you know.
I didn't.
You've met my sister.
You're twins?
Guess who's older?
I couldn't.
Go on, guess. Wrong. I'm Luke.
Blood all over.
Hands up.
Ash was just teaching me how to skin a rabbit.
Oh, don't let me interrupt.
Luke takes a log and sits in it. He watches them, hunched over, drinking. Ash looks up at him and glares. She turns to Mona.
We'll do this another time. I've done the head, tail, and the inside. All you've got to do now is chop it up. I'm sure you can handle that.
Of course.
Mind the blood.
Ash glares at Luke and walks off. Mona approaches the wooden slab. She takes the knife and starts to cut the meat, blood staining her hands. Luke continues to watch. Mona looks up and notices.
You go to school out there or something? Oh, sorry, I forgot that you don't.
Yeah, come and go.
Didn't see you when I arrived. Don't remember how long ago that was. A week, maybe 2. Time dilates here.
Change of scenery. I've been trying to leave, but somehow I always end up back exactly where I started.
It's my first time. I love it here.
Does this disgust you? That this is how we live?
A little.
Good. It should. Worry when you start to get used to it.
She steps away.
Feel a bit ill, actually.
Luke shakes the bottle, downs the alcohol, and throws it behind him. Approaches the wooden slab.
Right, you don't just saw at it.
Mona sits on the log and watches Luke. He cuts the rabbit meat with brashness and skill of an enthusiastic butcher.
So, if I may ask, what inspired you to leave the comforts of pre-packaged chlorinated chicken and numbered supermarket aisles to rough it up in the woods with us?
Well, Mum said I wouldn't last 2 days out here. So when I turned 16, she said I could have anything I wanted, expecting I'd say driving lessons or something. But I said this, to stay with Dad, which I've never been allowed to do.
A voyeur. We get a few of those.
Don't want to be. Trying to learn how to do everything. You're not speaking. You and Ash.
She hates it when I leave. Afraid that the secret will get out.
Secret?
Of this place. She gets really defensive about it. Doesn't want outsiders. Gets really into the community meetings, blah, blah, blah. I think it's so boring of her. Like a horse with blinkers. She's so completely in love with this place, she refuses to look outside of it. Ask her what a meme is the next time you see her. Tell me what she says.
And to me.
You will do exactly what it takes to protect this place, if it means she can stay. We adore each other, really.
I can see why. It's magic.
Luke waves the meat in the air and inspects it.
I am jealous of her. I think it's a great comfort not to doubt a thing about what you were born with. If I were you, I'd leave now.
Why?
You might fall in love and not want to leave. I assume you'll have to go eventually.
End of summer?
Try not to get too swept up in all this. For your sake.
Luke takes his shirt off and mops the blood on the surface of the wood. He wraps 2 small cuts of meat in the shirt and leaves the rest. Tucks his hand over his mouth.
Dinner!
Luke leaves. Mona is alone. So that was Driftwood by Sarah Stevenson. And next up we have Waste by Vasundhara Koshy. So if the cast of Waste could get themselves ready. And off with you.
Interior, Kodingoya slum, Vinod's house, dawn. A naked bulb sways from a long wire, the only light in a small room. Vinod, 10 years old, loops a string around the neck of Tiger, a small dog. Tiger barks, licking Vinod's face.
All right, we're going.
Vinod picks up a large empty sack. He clicks his tongue at Tiger, who jumps in excitement. Vinod quietly unlatches the door and steps out. Exterior, Kodungaya slum, dawn. A narrow lane between an unending wall of houses. Vinod jumps over an open drain. Tiger imitates him. Exterior, Kodungaya landfill, foothill, dawn. Vinod and Tiger run away from a maze of shanties and tents, uphill, reaching the top to reveal dark mountains of waste, never ending. Smoke rises in the air. Tractors and excavators sit atop piles. Their arms and drills stick out in odd angles, silent. Vinod runs across the top of a mountain, Tiger at his heels. In the distance, dark clouds move swiftly. Exterior, Kodungaya landfill, dawn. Tiger gambols ahead, his string leash trailing behind. Vinod throws a glass bottle into his half-empty sack, gets on his haunches to dig out a buried can. Grunts and snarls from Tiger. Vinod looks up. Tiger is pulling at a shoe. The shoe is on a foot, at the end of a denim-clad leg. The leg sticks out of the garbage, bent unnaturally, the rest buried. Vinod stares at it. Grabbing the end of the leash, he starts for the other direction. Tiger puts up a fight, tugging insistently at the shoe. Vinod clicks his tongue and gives the leash a sharp tug.
Tiger!
They run off. The sack lies forgotten beside the shoe. It begins to rain. Title, Waste. Exterior, Chennai, dawn. A maze of slums squashed together in an asymmetric grid. A broken bridge connects it to a sprawling city. High rises and twisting concrete roads. Blue-green waves from the Bay of Bengal crash against the shore. The rain falls steadily. Exterior, Besant Nagar Beach, dawn. The streetlights at the promenade create little orbs on the wet path. A sanitation worker in a sari and high-vis jacket sweeps the litter as an SUV sprays water on her as it whizzes past. Ved, 17 years old, is at the wheel. A wiper sweeps across his face. A 2-inch cut across his temple. His fingers touch the wound and he flinches. Interior, Madras Golf Club, pool, day. A dive into a large aquamarine swimming pool. A lithe body swimming underwater. Ved breaks the surface. Using powerful strokes, reaches the other side. He holds onto the railing, taking deep breaths. With a quick turn, Ved goes back underwater. Interior, Sindhu's home, kitchen, day. A pressure cooker releases steam in a sharp, long whistle. A bangled hand reduces the flame of the stove. The whistle stops. From off-screen.
Sindhu!
KP Sindhu, 32 years old, dressed in a flowered nightdress, wipes the sweat off her forehead.
Coming!
She stirs another simmering pot, tastes it before adding some masala.
Sindhu! Sindhu!
In a minute!
Sindhu hurries out of the kitchen, the pressure cooker steadily releasing steam. Interior, Sindhu's home, living room, day. Amma, 60s, with 2 nosepins above each nostril, sits on a plastic armchair facing the grilled window. Sindhu rushes to her with a comb, begins combing Amma's well-oiled hair.
I've been sitting like this for ages.
Jeevan, I hope you're getting ready.
You should have gotten the food ready last night.
Sindhu twists the hair into a bun.
That's what I used to do, but you like your sleep too much.
She puts a pin to hold the bun in place.
Jeevan!
The pressure cooker lets out another whistle. Interior, Sindhu's home, bedroom, day. Sindhu shuts the door with a bang. Freshly bathed, wearing a damp nightdress. Bala, 33 years old, in just a lungi, lies in bed reading a Tamil newspaper.
I hope you know where your son is because I have no idea.
Bala grunts.
Pass me the towel.
Bala pulls the towel off the clothesline nailed to the wall. Sindhu knots the towel around her chest before pulling off her nightdress, not revealing a bit of flesh in the process.
Why do you bother?
Yeah, because that would make your mother's day.
But Emma's not here.
She's not. She seems everywhere.
Bala turns to his side and watches Sindhu comb her hair.
The idlis are done. You just need to take them out of the cooker. Bala, are you listening to me? I can't be late, not today.
Come sit next to me.
You'll be there, right? Can you make it?
Come here.
Bala crooks his finger at Sindhu.
What's gotten into you?
A sudden giggle is heard. Bala and Sindhu freeze. Sindhu gets on her knees and peers under the bed. Amidst the knickknacks stored under the bed is Jivan, 6 years old, watching a video on a mobile phone with headphones.
Jivan.
Bala drags Jivan out, pulling his legs.
Your uniform! And why are you playing with my phone?
Sindhu grabs the phone from Jivan as he just giggles, lying on the floor. Exterior, Kodungaya landfill, day. A tall hoarding, Kodungaya Redevelopment Project 2018, under Honourable Minister Palani Kumar. Below it, a crowd of people gathering regardless of the rain. Women with large nose pins and flowers in their hair. Men in various stages of undress. Whispers. A large man, Jayan, 23 years old, watches with a toothbrush in his mouth as Sub-Inspector T.T. Kanan, 45 years old, navigates his bike over the bumps and potholes of the mud path. Vinod rides pillion with Tiger in his arms. Silence ripples over the crowd. Two men holding a stretcher descend from a wet garbage mountain. A body lies beneath a plastic sheet. Exterior, police station, day. Sindhu, in a freshly ironed, spotless police uniform, climbs up the front stairs. The subadar at the door salutes. Interior, police station, day. Sindhu enters the busy room. A peon hands her a steel tumbler of coffee.
Where's Kanant, sir?
He's gone to the landfill.
Sindhu takes a long, dragged sip of her coffee. It drips onto her shirt. Sindhu looks down at the spreading stain with irritation. She pulls out her handkerchief and rubs at the stain.
Where's he gone?
Exterior, Madras Golf Club, day. A covered seating area overlooking the golf course, a few tables occupied. Ved drinks a protein shake with the remnants of his breakfast on the table. His eyes not on the green expanse, but on the muted TV mounted on the wall. A waiter appears at his side.
Had a good swim today, Ved?
Oh, yes. It was fine.
Haven't seen you around in a while. Training for the nationals.
Ved signs for his meal.
Thanks, Angel.
Your father's at the 18th hole.
Ved smiles politely.
Shall I bring his breakfast to the table?
No. I have to run.
Ved gets to his feet and discreetly hands him a 100 rupee note. The waiter touches his forehead. Ved swings his bag on his shoulder and walks off.
Don't worry. I'll tell him I just missed you.
On the television is a news reporter speaking dramatically to the camera. In the background, a crowd. The ticker reads, "Dead body found at Kodungaya." Exterior, Kodungaya landfill, day. An open black umbrella pushes its way through the crowd. Sindhu makes her way past a reporter doing a piece to camera, holding a cumbersome umbrella. She joins Sub-Inspector Kanan, who has a handkerchief pressed to his nose. He turns to her in surprise.
Where were you this morning? I called and called.
Yeah, Jeevan had my, forget it. What is it? Drunken slum brawl?
Yeah, probably.
Kanan offers her his handkerchief.
You'll need this.
No, that's okay.
They walk to the makeshift stretcher lying on the ground.
Male, 16 to 17 years old.
What's his name?
Not identified yet.
Must be one of theirs.
Sindhu gestures at the watching crowd.
Where are the parents? No wailing mother?
She sits on her haunches.
You don't want to
She pulls the plastic sheet off.
do that.
Sindhu's eyes move over the body.
So, what do you see?
Legs broken. Some fingers too.
And?
Shoes are odd.
Sindhu looks at the sole of the shoe.
Don't miss the obvious choke marks to the neck.
Sindhu straightens up. Her eyes rest on Vinod, standing with a constable.
Not the usual night fight. What's with the kid?
Him. Just the boy who found him. Why the umbrella? Protecting your uniform.
Oh, no, it's just...
Word of advice? Don't use an umbrella. Not unless you have to.
I'd better go.
Oh, yes. Today's a big day.
A constable comes running up to them.
Identify the body. Casters are intact here.
Exterior, police headquarters, Chennai, day. A large colonial-style building with a clock tower on a busy main road. Traffic at a standstill. Honks, yells, and bikes revving up their engines. A police jeep streaks past, followed by a convoy of white cars with red beacons. Interior, police headquarters, Chennai, day. A line of police officers standing to attention. Sindhu, the only woman in the lineup. Without moving her head, she glances at the stain on her shirt, still slightly visible. A white-haired police commissioner pins a star onto Sindhu's lapel. Sindhu salutes. A smattering of claps. A minister in a white shirt and veshti shakes her hand.
Congratulations, Inspector Sindhu.
Sindhu's eyes scan the small crowd, looking for a familiar face. Interior, staircase, police headquarters, day. A broad, sweeping staircase with pan and coffee stains in the corners. The echoes of the crowd above can be heard. Sindhu rushes down jauntily when she bumps into a strapping officer, Nagaraj, 38 years.
Naga!
His eyes move to the new star on her lapel.
Inspector Sindhu. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll be seeing a lot more of each other from now on.
Sindhu shifts uncomfortably.
I was watching you. From the back, of course.
Thank you. That was not necessary.
Didn't see anyone else out there for you.
He's busy.
We miss him on the force.
Bala is fine. He's just...
Happy to be supported by his wife. I commend him. I don't think I'd be able to handle it.
Nagaraj reaches out and thumbs her lower lip. Sindhu jumps back, darts a nervous look around.
We're done, remember.
We are.
So remember that.
Sindhu walks off. Interior, Ukil flat, Ved's bedroom, day. Ved lies in his bed, throwing a stress ball back and forth against the wall. A plate of food lies untouched on his table. He abruptly stops throwing, grabs his phone, and dials a number. It doesn't connect. Ved throws the phone away and resumes with the ball.
Nagma! Nagma!
After a few seconds, there is a knock on the door.
Come in.
A neatly dressed maid enters.
Is my mother home?
Nagma shakes her head, no.
Can I have your phone?
My phone?
Yes, I need to make a call with it. Yes, I'll pay you for it, don't worry.
Nagma hands him her mobile phone.
With my phone?
She waits.
I'll let you know when I'm done with it.
Nagma shuts the door behind her. Ved consults his phone and dials a number on Nagma's. It does not connect. Ved gets off the bed, his feet brushing against a pair of rubber slippers. Worn thin and discoloured, they sit on the hardwood floor. The sole, covered in scraps and garbage, completely incongruous in the plush room.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And next we will be doing Classy by Harriet Hardy. So if the classy people can get themselves ready.
B's house. It's a council house
with a very 1980s feel to it. A living room, kitchen, and stairs are visible. Everything in the house is fairly old-fashioned and dated. It's very undecorated. Afternoon. We faintly hear the sound of kids playing in the street. The sound of a car passing can be occasionally heard. The inaudible conversation between neighbours in the street can also be heard faintly. Then the sounds of a gate opening and shutting. Through the glass back door, where we see a brick wall and bicycle as the most prominent view, we see B, 15, emerge in her school uniform. She enters, out of breath but fairly composed. She looks a mess. She's got a bleeding nose, her hair is all over the place and her face is slightly scratched. She goes to the sink, grabs some tea towels and cleans her nose and starts scrubbing her hands vigorously. She grabs a tea towel and dries them, revealing some very bruised knuckles. She goes to the living room to put on the telly. Some daytime TV show could be heard in the background. She goes to the answering machine. It's flashing. She presses it. It beeps.
You have one new message.
B, I'll be back for 5, so can you put the dinner on 20 minutes before I come home? Thank you. See you later.
B starts walking over to the machine.
To listen to the message again, press.
B pushes the button.
Message deleted.
She goes back into the kitchen and gets out a frozen pizza and some frozen wedges. She observes the back of them and hurriedly puts them both on trays and into the oven. She sets up a timer.
Jesus.
The house phone rings. B looks at it panicked. She stares at it, letting it ring.
Oh, hi, Dad. Nothing. I just had something in my throat. Am I? I was just doing revision. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, yes. Yes. I'm fine, don't you worry. I love you.
She puts the phone down. A vicious knocking can be heard. B jumps out of her skin.
Who's that?
We then hear the offstage voice of an elderly woman, Mrs. Jarvis.
Turn that TV down. I can't hear myself think.
It's on 20, you mental bitch.
What was that?
Well, if it's all right for you to keep bashing the walls, you think the SAS were coming round.
Don't take that tone with me.
These are thin walls, these are. I could report you for criminal damages.
Turn it down or I'm calling the police.
Right, all right, I'll turn it down.
B grabs the remote and starts turning up the volume.
I can still hear it.
Oh, oh no! The button's stuck. It keeps getting so loud.
Turn it down.
No, it's so loud. I hope it don't blow your head off.
It isn't funny. Turn it down.
I can't. I'm trying.
Turn it down.
Oh, it's working now.
God for that.
Enjoy your evening.
You don't mean that.
Oh, just watch Golden Balls or something.
That ain't on anymore.
Well, the chase then?
B turns the TV back down. She looks down at her knuckles. They are very noticeably bruised. She tries to use her school shirt to cover it up. We hear sirens in the background. We gradually hear them getting louder and louder. B stands up, alarmed, as the sirens get louder. We also hear the sounds of children jeering the sirens, making a piercing soundscape. They eventually start getting quieter again. B takes a deep breath and sits back into her chair. A ball hits her kitchen window, startling her.
Fucking hell!
She goes and exits through the kitchen door, retrieving the ball. She picks it up and faces the offstage boys playing.
What have I told you about fucking about with this ball, you little wankers?
A murmur of apologies can be heard by the boys.
If this comes near my house again, I'm going to take a kitchen knife to it. Do you understand?
A murmur of agreement can be heard. B throws the ball in their direction.
Now piss off!
She goes back into the house. She checks the oven and starts putting things away in the kitchen. She stops for a moment and reaches down her shirt for a pack of cigarettes. She gets one out and lights it on the stove. The phone rings. B stares at it. It keeps ringing.
Bea gets up in the kitchen and prepares herself a drink, ignoring it. It rings for a few moments.
The person you are calling is not available. Please leave a message after the tone, and they will get back to you as soon as possible.
A female voice can be heard. Victoria, 20s.
Hello, this is Victoria Edmondson. I'm an English teacher at Hartfield Academy. Today I had Bea in English for period 4 with me. She was getting on with her work fine, but then she got in an altercation with another student, just a verbal one. But after that, she left the classroom, and I'm worried. No one's seen her, and when she left, she was in quite a bad way. So if you get this message, please keep an eye on her. I've never had to call home before, so I hope it didn't do too bad, but thank you.
Bea looks at the phone. She gets up and goes to the kitchen. She checks on her dad's food in the oven, and she turns the tray around.
Fuck!
We then see Tyler, 15, a tall, skinny West Indian boy peeping through the back door, looking at Bea. He taps on the glass door and startles Bea.
Sorry.
Fuck's sake, Tyler, you moron!
Sorry.
Could have given myself a serious injury.
I'm sorry.
Could have burned myself, man.
Sorry.
Stop saying sorry, you drip.
Sorry. Can I come in?
Oh. Obviously.
You look rough.
Oh, cheers.
Bea is rushing around the kitchen, putting dishes away.
Didn't you notice?
I always look rough.
That's true.
Boy, you're supposed to oppose, protect my fragile ego.
Okay. You're very wholesome, beautiful, stunning. Eleanor Troy herself would look like a polished shit in comparison.
Oh, fuck off.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Oh, apparently you walked out of English?
And where'd you hear that?
Just heard it through the virtual grapevine.
And what exactly, sit down, what exactly did you hear?
That you're a gobby little shit.
Oh, is that so? Not that Abby Marsh is a disgusting, slutty succubus.
For fuck's sake, it had to be Abby Marsh, didn't it?
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Well, you go in on her quite a bit.
Excuse me? I don't go in on anyone. I don't even know why you're defending her.
I'm not. It's just...
Come on, Tyler, you don't like her.
I know I don't, but I'm a bit more inconspicuous about it.
You're a pussy is what you mean.
Oh, fuck off.
I know you wish you could fight people secretly. Anyway, I only swore at her.
You sure?
Yes.
Right. When's your dad back?
He said 5.
So what happened with Abby then?
I put the wedges on the top shelf. Does that sound right? It's potato, isn't it? What have I got for a salad?
Bea.
Do I even want a salad?
Bea.
What?
I was talking to you.
I told you what happened.
How did it start?
Well, she started it.
How?
She just said something really personal.
Personal?
Yeah, she said something like, if she's made people like Darren and me, then she must be a pretty shit mum.
Shit.
I went mad.
What do you say?
I called her a thunder cunt who likes to spread her ass and legs.
Arse?
She definitely has.
Then what happened?
I fucked off.
That it?
I threw a dictionary in her direction. Didn't hit her though.
For fuck's sake, Bea.
She shouldn't have said that.
You don't want to get excluded though.
Don't bother me.
Sure it doesn't. GCSE is coming up. You don't need to be in school, do you?
Well, it's done now. I don't need a lecture.
Your dad's going to lecture you.
Oh, believe me, he won't. He'll be too tired. He'll just eat his dinner, watch some telly, and go to bed. And I thought I told you to drop it.
Bea stops putting things away. She lights another fag and makes her way over to the sofa with Tyler.
Does he know you smoke?
Well, if he does, he hasn't said anything.
He'd be angry if he found out, though.
Maybe for a day. Then he'd just get on with it.
And why don't you tell him?
Still want to avoid the hassle.
Makes a lot of sense. You had your marks back yet?
Not yet.
Me either. I'm nervous as fuck.
It's not the end of the world if you don't do well.
It's still going to be shit. Doing a shit ton of work and not doing well.
You'll be fine.
I don't want to be fine. I want to do really well.
You will. You're going to get an A star and the examiners are going to be so impressed with your work, they're going to send it off to America and make it into a blockbuster.
Fuck off.
You know I'm joking. I'm sure what you've written is great.
I'm just nervous.
I know.
What do you even do for your assignment?
Can't remember. Made it up as I went along. I think it was something about Boris Johnson. Fucking Boris Johnson up the arse with a bladed strap on.
Me too.
You didn't have the part where Jeremy Corbyn was throwing money at us while we do it.
I added a detail where he shouts racist remarks as he comes.
Oh, very nice detail.
Seriously though, what do you write about?
Oh, I just wrote what it's like to be me.
And what's it like to be you?
You writing a book or something?
Sorry.
What do you write yours about?
You're going to cringe when I tell you.
Go on.
I think I wrote a monologue about what it's like living in Essex, being black, being one of the only black kids in the year, the isolation of it all, blah, blah, blah.
How was that cringe? That sounds good.
It's a bit cliche though.
It's honest though. Did you lie?
No. But I felt like it was such a predictable angle that I went down, you know?
Do you have an extract?
Oh, please don't make me do that.
Oh, go on, please. Read it.
I can only say that it starts off by me saying, as a Caribbean man living in England, life is obviously difficult.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's not untrue, but fuck me, it doesn't sound like you.
How would you write it better?
Just make it sound real.
I am.
You're not, though. That's not your voice.
Well, I guess I don't know how to write my voice.
Just be honest.
Wonderful. So that was Classy by Harriet Hardy. Thank you very much, guys. And on that, though, I think we will have a quick 5-minute break interval, perhaps, and we will reconvene at 8:05. So it is 7:58 right now. So if people want to just stretch their legs, nip to the loo, get a drink of water or something else, go ahead. I'll leave you with Steve.
Thank you so much, Freya. Yep, see you at 8:05, and well done everybody so far. That's been a great start.
Hello, everyone. So we return back to the proceedings with, funnily enough, the return. So I can't actually claim ownership of that. It was Molly Farley gave that to me. So shout out to Molly. But yes, we will begin with the return.
Interior, restaurant, night. The tapping of a keyboard starts at first slowly, then faster, and colour starts fading in from darkness. Off-screen, old man, 68, with sparse white hair and big spectacles, strong and tall build. Old woman, 71, with full silver hair, plump and proud, with a big hat with feathers. The text in off-screen slowly starts to become a reality with the typing of the keyboard. The restaurant is nice and old, red velvet and uniforms everywhere, columns and comfy chairs. A waiter walks over.
Glad to have you here again, sir. What shall it be? A table for one, or should we arrange the same table again?
The old man gives the waiter a look of complete lack of patience. The waiter turns a shade paler.
Of course, sir. Gustavo?
Interior restaurant day. The old man is eating a steak and fries. The old woman is having a soup.
I know it's been a long time, but it can't go on for either of us. I need to move on. No matter how long you put it off, you will have to read it.
The old man stops eating and looks up at her.
Why?
Because you want to, however afraid you are. Fear fades, the want remains.
The old man looks down and gives out an exhausted sigh. You can hear his lungs rattling at this. POV shot of another customer having dinner. They are looking at the old man sitting alone at a table romantically decorated for two.
Do you think he got stood up? Damn, I don't know what I'd do if I got stood up at that age.
The old man gets up, leaves several bills on the table, and walks away with wet, glistening eyes. Interior, office, night. The old man is on the phone.
Yes. No, I understand. It is a shame to have the house all to myself. I'll be fine. Yes, tell the kids I said hi. I'll see you sometime, I guess.
The old man hangs up. The small home office has not been cleaned in weeks. A fireplace in the corner is roaring. Singed envelope on the table. The old man opens the letter with an old-fashioned letter opener. It looks like he'd have had an easier time using his hands. Exterior, garden, night. The house has a large garden. A swing is attached to an old oak. In the storm and dark, the swing almost looks like a noose, and the trunks, empty chairs at a funeral. It starts raining. The swing starts making noise in the wind. The porch light is turned on. The old man is in the doorframe, carrying a crystal glass filled with whiskey. Interior, office, night. The open drawer in the desk has a half-empty bottle of Stro 80, a gun and a bullet. The camera takes a walk through the apartment to the outside. The first room is an old bedroom. One side of the bed is perfectly made, the other is in a disarray. The next two rooms are tidy but cluttered, with never opened children's gifts, and it says Gabe and Claudio on the rooms. The last room says Adrian and Simone. It's extremely tidy and simple, with a big double bed. The room has not been used yet. The door frame outside is rustic and falling apart. Lightning illuminates the garden. He's walking to the swing, one hand over his drink. Exterior, garden, night. The old man is on the swing, looking back at the house. There is a beautiful full moon behind him.
I fucked up. And they don't need me. Nobody needs me anymore.
POV. He looks down at the glass he is carrying. It's shining, and the liquid inside looks like a galaxy. It's bewitching. He sips his drink and lets out a loud and exhausted sigh. As he looks at the house, we see behind him a shooting star in the sky. The old man looks back too late and misses the star. He takes another sip of the too full drink with another exhausted sigh.
Fuck you for doing this to me.
He points a finger at the sky.
I can't fucking do this alone. I can't. I can't.
He stops, as if somebody cut the strings off a puppet. The old man gets up and runs into the house. The glass falls to the grass and cracks. The universe spills into the damp earth. Overview shot of the house. Thunder booms once as the rain continues. The glass is shattering under the heavy hits of the rain. A gunshot, and then the glass breaks and falls apart. The universe within seeping between the grass blades. Interior, hospital, day. The room looks nice and cozy. The old man has half his face bandaged. There is an exhausted woman and her husband on the other side. There's a picture of the old woman on the nightstand. The old man is asleep. Adrian, clean-shaven, dark black hair, a solid and muscular man standing holding the old man's hand on one side. Simone, long blonde hair, looks like a mother who has a handle of things and still has time to look amazing, is sitting on the other side.
You think he'll be okay?
He'll be fine. He's been in a pain in our ass for so long, he's not going away that easy.
Simone gives a kind smile, and Adrian seems kind of lost in thought. Two kids suddenly barge in playing a game, around the same age, and they look quite similar. The brother smiles, and the mum shushes the kids. The old man groans, and the entire room goes silent. He opens his eyes and looks around. They all just stare at each other. The silence is broken as the door opens. The nurse walks in with a smile on her face. The son smiles and holds his dad's hand. The old man looks at the picture of the old woman and touches it with two shaking fingers. Interior, living room, day. The camera zooms out of a screen showing the last page of this script written on it. We see Gabe, 19 years old, short-cut, scruffy hair, looks like a writer who doesn't care much about how he presents. Petru Roman looks exactly like Mr. Roman, but a couple of years older.
So, what do you think? I changed some names around, but everything's pretty much how it happened.
So what is this for again?
Oh, they asked me to write something for a portfolio in the admission. I thought this was a pretty great story.
You have a good memory. You sure you want to leave? There's a place for you at the company.
We talked about this. It's a done deal. I can't stay in this country. There's nothing for me here.
Gabe looks at Petru with a ready for an argument face on. It slowly wears down as nothing happens.
Didn't know you for somebody that ever backed down.
Only a fool continues an argument he can't win.
Well, guess I'll go now.
Gabe raises to leave.
You know how we first got started? The family company.
No. It's not a custom of our family to share.
Started back in '84, 5 years before the revolution. A friend gave me a tip.
That changed everything. All right, sorry, I was just making a joke.
You want to hear this or not?
Dissolve 2. Exterior, outside the Palace of Parliament flashback. A young Petru, dressed in a dingy suit, is standing and smoking a cigar on the steps. A few seconds after, another man in a much better suit comes down the stairs.
I was young, barely trying to fit in with how I thought the world worked. My friend, Mr. Stone, took me under his wing and was about to offer me my first real moneymaker.
Young Petru follows Mr. Stone as he goes down the stairs.
So?
So what?
Anything?
Everything.
Mr. Stone smiles confidently. Young Petru looks confused. They arrive at the base of the stairs.
These are yours.
He throws Petru a set of keys.
And what do I do with these?
You drive.
Interior truck day. Young Petru is driving a truck into a city. A red Dacia behind him, following at some distance.
Televisions. The first ones ever in Romania, and I got the chance to sell them. But something smelled fishy.
Young Petru takes out a piece of paper that has a small map drawn on it. Then he returns his attention to driving.
Mr. Stone told me to deliver them to a common friend that would help us distribute. I checked in with a couple of other people and nobody knew him.
Why does that matter?
Back in those days, everyone knew everyone, especially if you worked in distribution. You know that saying, the stores are empty, but the fridges are full. That's why everyone made sure to be on the good side of the distribution guys.
Young Petru arrives at a small warehouse. He checks his mirror and sees a car following him. He gets out of the car. Another truck pulls up from a corner around the warehouse. 3 people get out from the red Dacia, including Mr. Stone. The 2 other people with Mr. Stone are very large, intimidating people.
So, kid, you did well. We have it from here.
Sounds good to me. Mind if I take one for myself and my family?
Mr. Stone takes him by the shoulders and laughs.
I tell you what, kid, for such a good job you did driving it here, I'll give you a big discount on buying them.
I'm guessing the twist comes now.
Your generation has no patience at all.
Sorry. Go on.
The easiest way to deal with a snake is to bring a bigger snake.
Cars with MAI government license plates cut off the exits. Mr. Stone does not notice as he is looking at the truck.
Boss, government cars.
How?
Mr. Stone looks at young Petru, who is smiling. One of the cars is pointing towards the truck. Armed guards surround the truck with TVs and Stone and his cronies. End of flashback. Interior hospital day.
So you exchange bosses from a snake to the head of the snake.
There are always bigger animals than you, and they are always looking to steal your opportunities. I traded one for the other wisely and made our family's fortune. I knew the people here and had connections, otherwise
you would have been suckered away from the deal.
You don't know anybody there. And you don't know the place itself.
That's not going to stop me.
I know, which is why you were braver than me. I just wanted to tell you to be careful and that I love you very much.
Almost sounds like you want me to go now.
Don't push it.
A nurse walks in.
Mr. Roman, you have to rest now.
Can't you see I'm talking to my grandson?
It's fine, Grandpa. I'll go. Alice is waiting for me at home anyway.
The 2 share a smile and Gabe leaves.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Just checking that we've got. Yes, wonderful. So now that we have everyone we need, we're going to go right into Pluck and Spirit by James MacDonald. So.
Old Socrates spoke truly when he said, "No man goeth about more godly purpose than he who is mindful of the right upbringing not only of his own, but of other men's children."
Fade in. Exterior, scout hut, day. A narrow country lane winds through thick woodland. The trees open up as the track curves past a grass playing field with a single great oak. The lane ends before a long, low hut with a shallow pitched roof that backs onto the woods. The warm summer sun shines through a canopy of green leaves and bathes the scout hut in light.
Scouting has been described by more than one enthusiast as a revolution in education. It is not that.
Slow motion. A Boy Scout, Roger, 11, bloody-nosed, wild-eyed, uniform in disarray, emerges from behind the scout hut at a dead run. His face a rictus of terror. He looks over one shoulder for his pursuers.
It is merely a suggestion thrown out as a venture for a jolly outdoor recreation.
Slow motion. A pack of wolf cub scouts aged between 5 and 7 in shreds of uniform with war paint swarm around the scout hut, chasing Roger. They screech, spittle, flecking their dirty faces as they brandish sticks and clubs above their heads.
Our aim is to make the rising generation into good citizens.
Slow motion. A wolf cub throws a stick at Roger's legs, tripping him to the floor. The pack pounce, surrounding him, beating him with their clubs and screaming. Roger curls into a ball.
Scouting puts into the lad discipline, pluck, chivalry, and patriotism.
Slow motion. Jeffrey, 14, blonde hair, immaculate uniform, dashes from the trees with a bow in one hand and a quiver of arrows on his back. He drops to one knee, nocks an arrow, and aims.
Through a system of games, we instill the values of Christian service.
Slow motion. Jeffrey fires his arrow toward the mob. It misses one cub's face by an inch and buries itself into the thick haft of his war club.
And make the lads morally and physically efficient.
The wolf cubs turn to see Jeffrey knocking a second arrow and scarper into the trees. Jeffrey fires the arrow after them, which sticks deep into a tree trunk near a boy's retreating head.
To work for the betterment of their fellow men.
Freeze frame. Jeffrey on one knee, lowering his bow. Focus on the sleeve of Jeffrey's sweater, a badge showing crossed arrows over an archery target. Super, Master at Arms Activity Badge, Archery Proficiency. Jeffrey stands, slings the bow onto his back, and walks towards Roger. He stands over the curled figure.
Nothing broken?
I don't think so.
Jeffrey offers Roger his hand.
Good man.
Roger takes the proffered hand and is pulled to his feet.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Don't mention it, old chap. We should move. I startled the wolf cubs, but they'll regroup and return for blood. Come on.
Jeffrey runs off towards an opening in the woods. Roger takes a moment to catch his breath, then follows. Scoutmaster Gill, 62, skeletal thin with blotchy cheeks, stumbles from the scout hut and sits heavily on the top step. He gesticulates with a copy of Baden-Powell's Scouting for Boys.
That's it, lads. Practice your knots or something.
He opens the book to reveal the inner pages hollowed out, the cavity filled by a hip flask. He removes it and takes a deep swig.
Filthy little bastards.
Cut 2. Pluck and Spirit, a scouting guide to the afterlife. Interior, kitchen, day. A spacious modern family kitchen that opens into a dining room. Both are freshly decorated but unfurnished. Kate stands leaning against a work surface. She is checking her emails on her phone, but her eyes dart from the screen to uneasily scan the room. Muted voices and dull footsteps can be heard from upstairs. Beside Kate, a kitchen drawer begins to slowly open with an unsettling rattle. She watches in fascinated horror for a second before slamming the drawer shut.
No, please, not now.
Kate stares at the now unmoving drawer. A door slams in the distance, and she starts. Behind her, a fog begins to slowly rise on a window pane from an unseen breath. A circle is drawn in the condensation of the glass. Kate hears the squeak of an invisible finger on the window and turns to watch in mute dread as 3 dots appear, 2 for eyes and 1 for a nose. Finally, an arc is traced to form the smile of the ghostly face.
It's a beautiful house.
Kate jumps and turns in alarm to see Tom and Carrie with baby Jess descending the stairs. She wipes the window clean with a hand and forces a smile as they enter the kitchen.
What's the catch?
No catch.
Carrie sits Jess on the worktop and plays with her.
You don't get this much house for that little asking price.
We just have a very motivated seller.
What happened? Did somebody die here?
No, nobody died in this house.
Oh, that's a relief. What do you think, Carrie?
Carrie still plays with Jess.
Carrie?
I like it. It's nice.
Well then, I think we'd like to put in an offer.
Relief floods over Kate's face. Behind her, and unheeded by the room, the upside-down crescent of a sad mouth is added to a new face drawn on the fogged window. Exterior, front of house, day. The large modern house sits in front of an imposing woodland. A small gravel parking area separates it from a grass lawn. In the centre of the lawn is the burned stump of a once grand oak tree. A gravel driveway leads past the garden and away through the woods. The wheels of Kate's Audi spin and kick up gravel. She speeds along the driveway and away from the house. Tom frowns after her as he opens the back door of the car.
Did she seem off to you?
Carrie bends to put Jess in her car seat. Tom shrugs.
This is the right thing for us, Carrie. To get away from the city.
Carrie is struggling with the clasp on Jess's car seat.
It's a great place to live, you'll see. Jess will love growing up with these woods to play in.
Carrie is growing frustrated with the car seat.
We need to get a new car seat. This one isn't safe.
Oh, let me.
Carrie stands aside. Tom leans past her, and after a few moments, the seat's clasp clicks. He turns and puts his hands on Carrie's shoulders affectionately.
We need to start thinking about the future again. I love you.
Carrie wraps her arms tightly around Tom. She is close to tears. He holds her. Exterior, front of house, later. Tom turns the car and begins to pull away from the house. The front edifice sweeps across the rear view mirror. Stood before the house can be seen the solitary figure of a small boy in a green uniform. Tom looks up and adjusts the mirror. He sees only the empty house, their new home. Exterior, the woods, day. The day is still bright as the summer sun shines through the leaves. The woods are lush and full of greenery. Jeffrey runs between trees and through the undergrowth, carrying his bow. He turns to call to Roger.
Keep up, Roger. We're almost at base camp.
Roger stops. He bends over, hands on knees, wheezing.
I'm right behind you.
He takes a deep breath and stumbles on again. Exterior, Scout Camp, day. The Scout troop have established base camp in a small hollow in the woods. Tents have been pitched and bivouacs erected between trees. Around a large campfire, the area bustles with activity. Boys sit in groups knot tying, practicing first aid, whistling, fire starting, and erecting tents. Two boys keep lookout from a wooden platform in a tree above. They sound a horn to signal Jeffrey's return. Jeffrey jogs into the campsite and is greeted warmly by the other boys as he passes. Peter patrols at the camp's edge with a BB rifle.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey
Hello,
smiles.
Jeffrey. Peter.
Jeffrey enters the camp. Bingo is sprawled on the floor surrounded by boys, a bandage around his head, both arms in slings. As Jeffrey passes, he sits up and waves awkwardly.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey grins as Trevor pushes Bingo back in frustration and continues his bandage tying demonstration.
Bingo!
Series of shots. Freeze frame. Trevor with one hand on Bingo's chest, pushing him firmly back to the floor. Focus on Trevor's sweater sleeve, a badge showing the caduceus before a green cross. Super. First aid proficiency badge. Jeffrey walks on and passes a group of boys erecting another tent. Reg holds a bundle of tent poles in his arms. He tries to wave and drops them to the floor.
Welcome back, Jeffrey.
Thanks, Stinker.
Jeffrey smiles and walks on.
Actually, it's Reg.
The scout leading the tent building team, Arnold, thumps Reg in the stomach and points to the dropped tent poles. Series of shots. Freeze frame. Reg doubled over, Arnold pointing to the floor. Focus on Arnold's sweater sleeve, a badge showing a white tent. Super. Camper proficiency badge. Jeffrey stops at Toby, sat on his own beside a tree. He has a pile of sticks in front of him and is slowly whittling them into arrows. Several finished shafts are stuck in the ground.
Toby, how are tricks?
Can't complain. Have yourself a brush with the wolf cubs.
Jeffrey reaches out and pulls a finished arrow from the soil.
Nothing I couldn't handle.
I take it you'll be needing more of these.
One or two couldn't hurt.
Not hurt. Isn't that rather the point?
Toby prods the sharp end of an arrow. Tristan runs towards them, a bundle of Molotov cocktails in his arms.
Hi, Jeffrey. I've made these if the wolf cubs get out of line.
Good God, Tristan, what have I told you?
Oh, come on, Jeffrey. Just the one.
What have I told you?
Don't use incendiary devices on the wolf cubs.
Don't use incendiary devices on the wolf cubs.
But...
And what are those?
What, these are incendiary devices?
Right. We're not allowed to set the other boys on fire anymore.
The rules changed last year.
The rules changed last year.
Not even a little singeing.
No, fire.
But you're allowed to shoot them with arrows.
I don't shoot them. I shoot around them.
What if you miss?
He never misses.
I never miss. I've got my proficiency badge.
Tristan slinks away dejectedly.
We're going to have to watch that one.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, guys. And now we are on to our last script of the evening, which is Fright at Fresh Start Forest by Benjamin Jones. So we could have the readers and cast of that ready, please.
Opening titles. Exterior Forest Night. The titles run over the POV of someone treading carefully through a forest at night. They point a torch around to check for dangers. A branch snaps behind them. They turn to see a shadowy figure in the distance. They run away, panting fearfully. Montage. Titles continuing to appear throughout. The POV character comes across a gully. They look behind them. The shadowy figure is still approaching. There's a tree hanging over the gully. The POV character has now climbed up the tree and is carefully sidling across a thick branch over the gully. Now they're back on the ground, back to running. They turn to see the shadowy figure still following. They cross a rotting wooden bridge over a rushing river. The bridge gives way, and the POV character is carried away by the current. They climb out of the river, soaking wet. They see an old cabin in the distance. Interior, cabin, night. The POV character enters with caution and looks around with their torch, which is now flickering. There are test tubes, scientific instruments, and smashed fish tanks. They look up at the window. The shadowy figure is right outside. The torch goes off, everything's dark. The POV character smacks it frantically. It turns back on, and there's a squid zombie. Half-rotting squid, half-rotting man in a suit, right in front of them. It roars. The POV character produces a crowbar from nowhere. They start bonking the squid zombie on the head with it. It moans ineffectually, their whole body flashing red with each bonk. A red health bar appears over their head, slowly going down.
Eat crowbar, you walking sushi dish! Gah! Get inked! Gah! Eat crowbar, you walking sushi dish! Gah! Stupid squid zombies, just stay dead!
The squid zombie stumbles woozily before falling onto the floor, its corpse simply fading away. Interior, Joe's bedroom, day. The POV of the POV character is now on the screen of a small telly, in a dark room with the curtains closed. There's a games console plugged in at the side with an open games case for Calamari Corpse 9 sat on top. On screen, more squid zombies appear outside the window.
What did I just say?
Sat on the edge of a bed in front of the telly, clutching a games controller, is Joe Wright, 12 they/them. They have long, frizzy hair covering a third of their face, and are wearing a scruffy high school uniform. They also have wristbands covering most of their right wrist, with nerdy logos, amongst which is Calamari Corpse. Joe's hunched up close to the screen, smiling peacefully. As the sounds of more crowbar bonks come from the telly, their smile only broadens. A yell comes through the walls. It's Michelle, late 30s, she/her.
Josie, Livy, dinner's ready.
Josie winces, ignores her, keeps playing.
Josie, did you hear me?
Can I just have it in my room, please?
All of Joe clenches as they brace for the answer. Nothing. They look confused. Then they jump as Michelle bursts in. She's a plus-size woman with floral vintage clothing, plus a pair of tree-shaped earrings made from a honey brown, slightly gooey material. She yanks the curtains open, Joe flinches like a vampire, and reaches to turn the TV off. She pauses, watches the game for a moment. She shudders and sighs in resigned bewilderment, then turns it off.
Please come and eat with your family, Josie.
Interior, Wright family dining room, day. Joe is now sat at a dining table, picking at their dinner. A radio softly plays I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston in the background. Livy, 12, she/her, Joe's twin but with styled hair and makeup, is sat opposite, forking food into her mouth with one hand whilst holding her phone in the other. She's scrolling through Facebook, stops to like a friend's super smiley poolside selfie taken at Fresh Start Forest. And, sat between them both on the end of the table, is Michelle, smiling determinedly through the awkwardness. A family photo of her and the kids as toddlers, hugging and laughing, hangs on the wall just behind her.
How was school today, girls?
Fine, thanks.
Yeah, fine, I guess.
Just fine.
Joe and Livy simply nod and shrug.
All right, fine. Have either of you thought more about what you want to do for your birthdays next weekend?
I'm going to sleep round Caitlin's house.
Oh. Okay, well, she's welcome to sleep round here.
No, you're right.
Right. What about you, Josie?
I don't want to do anything special, if that's okay.
The 13th birthday.
Joe just shrugs again, playing with her food.
Sweetheart, are you okay?
Yeah? Yeah, I'm fine.
You sure?
Michelle takes Joe by the arms and turns their whole body. Joe looks helplessly uncomfortable as Michelle turns and lifts their head and arms, examining them like a doctor.
You don't look well. Then again, you've always looked a bit sickly, haven't you? I mean, all that time you spend in your room can't be good for you.
Joe anxiously scratches at their wristband wrist.
Is it boy troubles?
Joe shakes her head, still scratching.
Because I'm telling you, Josie, if you just wore a bit of makeup, pulled your hair back, maybe some fucking shaving here or there, you could have your pick of the boy litter.
Joe keeps their head down, scratching faster and faster. Michelle looks at both her daughters at a loss. Then she has an idea, beams optimistically.
Hey, who's up for a game of Twister later?
Joe and Livy look at each other, panicked.
Homework, sorry.
Homework, me too, sorry.
They wolf down what's left of their meals, struggling on the final swallow.
Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, Mum.
They dash out, leaving Michelle alone with Whitney crooning on in the background. She sighs, fiddles with one of her earrings, and turns to gaze sadly at the photo of them all laughing together. The photo seems to actually produce the sound of children's laughter. Interior, primary school classroom, day. A class of 7-year-olds, about 25 kids, are sat on the carpet, laughing their heads off. They're watching two of their classmates, a girl and a boy, all twisted up on a world map version of Twister. Michelle is stood at the front of the class, laughing with them.
Georgia, right leg, Japan.
All the other kids point and yell out suggestions. Georgia reaches her right leg towards Australia.
Not quite.
Georgia overstretches, causing her and her opponent to collapse in a heap of limbs and laughter. The school bell rings. The whole class make disappointed sounds.
I don't want lunch. I want to keep playing.
Michelle looks super validated. Interior, primary school staff room, day. Michelle is sat on a sofa in the corner of a busy office/kitchen next to Sally, late 30s, she/her. They're eating salad from a Tupperware box each.
Honestly, you're so good with those kids, Michelle. I'm so jealous. I could just throttle you.
Thank you, Sally, I think, but don't be jealous. You teach year 6, I could not do that. The older they are, harder it gets.
No kid of anywhere, at any age, in the history of anywhere, ever, would not love you.
Michelle smiles awkwardly, fiddling with her earring again. A smiley teacher, early 40s, she/her, strolls in, eerily smiley like she's high or hypnotized.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Jenny. You look really pretty today. Not that you don't look pretty every day.
She laughs and approaches someone by the staff kettle. Michelle and Sally watch, unnerved yet unable to look away.
Oh, Lorna, let me help you with that. The button sticks, but there's an knack to it.
What the hell's gotten into Grumpy Gwen?
I don't know. Last I heard, she was going through a divorce.
The smiley teacher, Grumpy Gwen, turns to look directly at Michelle and Sally, waves, and walks over. Michelle and Sally straighten up with panic.
My ears are burning.
We were just saying what a good mood you're in today, Gwen.
Oh, defo. I've just had the loveliest few days off. Me and Harry took the kids to Fresh Start Forest, you know, the UK's #1 leisure park.
Oh, I've been meaning to go there.
Oh, I recommend it, Sally. Such good vibes. The funny thing is, we booked it ages ago, but then we were going to cancel it because, well, me and Harry were actually divorcing.
Oh, I'm so
I
sorry.
knew that.
Michelle slaps Sally's arm, but Grumpy Gwen just laughs.
Of course you knew that, you gossip girls, you. But our kids didn't know. So we thought, let's just grin and bear it. And now it's like magic. Just a few days of being outside and active together as a family, and we're more in love than ever.
At this point, everyone in the room is listening in. So Gwen starts slowly rotating her body like she's giving a TED talk in a 360-degree theatre.
Oh, and as for the kids, they're now always wanting to play games with us or go for walks with us. You might even say that going to Fresh Start Forest gave our family a fresh start.
She laughs. Everyone nods and whispers to each other, some impressed, some uneasy. One person starts to clap before shyly stopping. Michelle just stares, lost in thought. There's non-diegetic voiceover from an elderly American man with a Walt Disney-esque voice. It's Roy Mulder Jr., late 60s, he/him.
The point of Fresh Start Forest is and always was to bring families together.
Exterior street day. Michelle drives a family hatchback past a big billboard ad depicting a smiling family riding a zip wire through the trees with the tagline, "Give your family a fresh start at Fresh Start Forest."
The younger generation are pulling away from their parents, from traditional values of respect, fitness, unity.
Michelle drives past a bus stop ad depicting a teenager and a small tortoise in the woods, looking up an inspiring sunset with the tagline, "Bring them out of their shells with Fresh Start Forest." Interior, Michelle's bedroom, night. Michelle is in bed on her tablet.
Fresh Start Forest reminds them of healthier ways to spend their time.
On screen is the Fresh Start Forest website, playing a video of Roy Mulder Jr. in a bespoke suit, walking through a Center Parks-esque park while speaking to camera.
Being outside, being active, being with their own flesh and blood. This is Roy Mulder Jr., proud owner and founder, saying, "Don't worry, your family isn't in trouble. You just need a fresh start."
Michelle looks up at a calendar on the wall. That weekend's date is circled. Josie and Livy's 13th B-days, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. On screen is a book now button. She hovers her finger over it. At that moment, Joe walks past the open door to Michelle's room with her head down, scratching her at their wrist quite agitatedly.
Josie, sweetheart, are you all right?
I'm fine.
Joe quickly pulls Michelle's door shut. Then the sound of Joe's own bedroom door slamming travels through the walls. That does it. Michelle takes a deep breath, then aggressively presses book now. Interior, Joe's bedroom, night. Joe's playing Calamari Corpse 9 again. They get distracted when they hear,
Girls, can you come here quickly, please? I've got some exciting news.
A blood-curdling scream comes from Joe's game. They look back at the screen to see the words "Game Over" in a big, blood-like font.
And that was right at Fresh Start Forest. And with that, we are finished for the evening. So thank you very much to all the writers and all of the actors. been very fun to work on. So back to you, Steve.
Well, in the spirit of tradition, I think at this point we make everyone visible and everybody is clapping. So can we just invite you to kind of join us to celebrate that work and celebrate those performances and celebrate new writing and new performances in all various forms, and just massive thank you for everybody for staying with it. And I just want to sort of just run through a few thanks again, just because you know, I'm actually really, you know, emotional over here in my little house in Cambridge. This has created an incredible community over the last few weeks, and you know, it has been a real joy to share this work with you, and also to watch the fantastic contribution of our actors who've just made these extraordinarily various stories come to life with such kind of. So I think firstly I'd like to say a massive thank you to our directors, which is Freya from tonight, Molly obviously we had from tonight, and obviously also the first week, and Imi Lee. I don't think he's with us tonight, but let's give them all a round of applause. Secondly, I'd like to thank a massive thanks to Mike Bernardine. Mike is the sort of person that, you know, you'd wince to say to somebody else, oh, can you just put together like a massive company of people to kind of put on everybody's plays over the next 3 weeks? And Mike's like, yeah, we were all going to do that anyway. So he's incredibly generous with his time and has done fantastic work with everybody here. And much of his sort of sense of how actors might perform in this medium is reflected, I think, in a lot of the work we've seen tonight. So thank you, Mike. Massive gratitude to you. I don't know where to start with the actors, and they're so various, and we've had so many different people, and it's fantastic to see even more new faces tonight. But I cannot say how impressed I am by the craft of your readings. There's not been a moment that we haven't been gripped by, totally absorbed in. Characters have just been so present for us. So thank you guys, massive clap for you. And last and definitely not least, of course, is our wonderful, wonderful writers. I think we've got some of you still here. I don't know who's here still. Oh yeah, no, most of us still here. So, well, I think a clap for all of you, really. The last 3 weeks have been so joyous. So well done, guys. I can't wait till September to actually read all this stuff when it's actually kind of completed, and it will be completed by September. That's my little threatening supervisor sort of statement there. Well, I'm going to linger for a little bit longer. So thanks to our guests, of course, particularly for sticking with us and supporting us, whether you're on the Zoom or whether you're on YouTube. And the great thing is all this work is going to stay available for some time. So good night to our guests, and thanks everybody else. What do we do? Should we chat to each other? Do we have any wine to open up?